The sun rose slowly over the hills of Galilee, casting a golden hue over the quiet town of Capernaum. Morning dew clung to the rooftops, smoke curled from the chimneys of stone homes. The Sea of Galilee shimmered like glass in the early light. As the town awakened, a solitary figure was already up, walking quietly along the rocky shore. His sandals crunched softly against the sand. His face was peaceful. His name was Jesus. He moved with purpose but never rushed. His presence brought a quiet reverence. Even before he spoke, fishermen stopped mending their nets to watch him. An old woman paused while sweeping her doorstep. Children peeked around corners, whispering his name. He wasn't a king or a soldier. He didn't shout or command. And yet there was something in him that drew every eye and stilled every heart. That morning he stopped beside a fig tree and sat beneath its shade. The sea lapped gently at the shore. He closed his eyes and prayed. His lips barely moved, but his soul communed deeply with the Father. There was power in his stillness, not the kind that conquers nations, but the kind that heals them. Around him, the world kept moving, but inside that prayer, time seemed to stop. Word had already spread. The healer was back, the teacher, the one who spoke like thunder wrapped in silk. Before long, a crowd began to gather. Some came with joy, others with pain. Some brought bread, others brought brokenness. A man arrived holding his blind son's hand. A mother carried a child too weak to stand. A widow stood back, her eyes hollow from years of sorrow. Jesus stood and faced them. He didn't recoil. He didn't judge. He welcomed them all. One by one he listened. He placed his hands gently on heads, shoulders, wounds, hearts. And something miraculous happened, not just in their bodies, but in their souls. Eyes opened, fevers broke. But more than that, hope returned. He didn't just heal flesh, he restored purpose. At the synagogue he taught. The scrolls were opened, and his voice filled the chamber. "Blessed are the poor in spirit," he said, "for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." His words were not dramatic, yet they pierced deeper than swords. He spoke of mercy, of love for enemies, of purity, of hunger for righteousness. The people listened, not out of obligation, but hunger, for truth, for something eternal. A scribe stood up, challenging him. "By what authority do you say these things?" The room tensed. Jesus looked at him, calm and unwavering. "He who has ears, let him hear," he replied. Then he continued teaching. The scribe sat down slowly, unsettled. He had studied scripture his whole life, but never felt it alive like this. Jesus didn't argue, he simply revealed. A young girl was brought to him after the service. She hadn't spoken in months, gripped by fear and trauma. Her father pleaded, tears in his beard. Jesus knelt before her and smiled. "Little one," he said gently, "do not be afraid." He took her hand, and as if a dam burst inside her, she began to cry, then laugh, then speak. Her voice returned, and her father held her, weeping with gratitude. By midday, the sun burned high. Jesus and his disciples sought shade under olive trees near the edge of town. They shared bread and figs, drinking from clay jars of water, but the rest was short-lived. A centurion approached. His armor clinked as he bowed low, shocking everyone. "My servant lies at home, paralyzed and in great suffering," he said. "Say the word and he will be healed." Jesus marveled. "I have not found such great faith, even in Israel." He looked into the soldier's eyes and spoke plainly, "Go, let it be done just as you believed it would." The centurion bowed again and left. That very hour, in a Roman villa on the other side of town, a servant stood up from his bed, completely healed. Those who witnessed it trembled. Even the empire couldn't explain such power. Later, Jesus entered the home of Simon Peter. His mother-in-law was sick with fever, her skin pale and damp. Jesus leaned over her, took her hand, and lifted her up. At once, the fever left her. She smiled and began preparing food, serving the guests joyfully. It wasn't just healing, it was restoration. That was his pattern. He didn't just mend, he renewed. By evening, the streets overflowed with people. They came from every corner of the region. Some limped, others were carried. A man missing a leg crawled with raw hands. A woman with a hunched back leaned on her daughter. The possessed screamed in agony. Yet Jesus faced each one, tirelessly, lovingly, patiently. The line never seemed to end, but neither did his mercy. The disciples grew weary. "Send them away," one whispered. But Jesus shook his head. "Let them come to me." And so they did. All night he healed. The blind saw stars for the first time. The deaf heard the laughter of children. The broken danced. And through it all, Jesus smiled, not as one who pities, but as one who loves without measure. Some Pharisees stood at a distance watching. "He heals on the Sabbath." One muttered, "He forgives sins." Another crossed his arms. "Who does he think he is?" But even they couldn't deny the results. The lame walked, the cursed were made clean, and the people rejoiced. The old laws were being fulfilled, not abolished. The Messiah had come, but not as they expected. At the edge of the crowd stood a man covered in rags, face hidden, skin scarred, a leper. The people gave him space, repulsed, but he dropped to his knees and cried, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Silence fell. Jesus walked toward him. Without hesitation, he touched him. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." The man gasped. His skin cleared. His pain vanished, and the crowd was stunned. Jesus touched what no one else dared. Night fell, the stars glittered above Galilee, the crowd thinned, lamps flickered in windows. But Jesus remained, kneeling in prayer once again. His body was tired, but his spirit was strong. He had given everything, yet asked for nothing. He didn't seek applause, he didn't demand titles, he simply gave. Love poured from him like living water. A little boy came to him as he prayed. "Are you the one they call the Son of God?" he asked. Jesus looked at him and smiled. "What do you say?" The boy paused. "You look like love." Jesus chuckled softly and nodded. "That's enough for today." The boy hugged him and ran off. That small exchange would echo in the boy's heart for the rest of his life. Later, the disciples found Jesus near the water, silent. "Master," they asked, "will you stay in Capernaum? The people want you." But Jesus shook his head. "We must go to other towns also. That is why I have come." His eyes were not fixed on comfort, but calling, not popularity, but purpose. And so, as dawn approached, they gathered their things and followed him once more. He walked the dirt roads of Galilee, past vineyards and wells, past ruins and rivers. He passed beggars and scholars, tax collectors and children. He never hurried. He never avoided. He never ignored. He saw every person, truly saw them, not for their reputation or wealth, but for their soul. That is how the kingdom grows, not in palaces, but in hearts. The wind picked up as he climbed a hill overlooking the sea. He stood alone, the sky turning orange behind him. Below, Capernaum glowed with torches and life. He knew the road ahead would grow darker. Rejection, betrayal, pain, the cross, and still, he didn't turn back. His love was not conditional. His mission, unstoppable. For the joy set before him, he endured. He descended the hill and rejoined his friends. Their journey would continue. More towns, more people, more souls in need. But that day in Galilee, in the quiet town by the sea, lives were changed forever. Not because of spectacle, but because of love made flesh, and the world would never be the same again. If you love Jesus, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to see more videos about him.